occur most commonly as we age. But in my business, in my group of this StomaCloak business, which came off the screen, it'll come back in a minute, we found that people calling us, there's 15-year-olds and 10-year-olds that are having their bowels removed for various things. And we in particular have just recently a 15-year-old boy who had his bowel removed for Crohn's disease, and his mother called us and she says, you guys, he won't part with your device. Please send me 3 more, because he is going through that rough period of adolescence and trying to meet girls and trying to figure out how he's going to play a sport and trying to figure out how he's going to be in society and not have all the troubles that make a stoma very visible and apparent, at least to him, to decrease his ego but make him more user-friendly in society. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a hunter, a urologist, and a father, a husband. I go to church. I believe in God, and I think life is wonderful. The cup is three-quarters full person all the time. I'm rarely that person that looks at life negatively, and so I think that helps me get through things pretty well. My wife, when I had surgery, she got online and she said, you know what? You can hide that thing. And I said, well, you know, how? And she got online and she found these covers, and she said you can make them less visible, less noisy. You know, you can even make them look fancy. I mean, you can do a whole bunch of things. If you want to go swimming, we travel with our kids. We've got 4 kids, and if you want to go swimming in the lake, you can have this certain kind of device. And if you know, she started pointing out all these things to make my life better. Well, again, I'm a three-quarters full person, so I wasn't really looking for a lot of things, but she was looking for stuff to make things better, kind of like Pat was trying to figure out for Howie how to make him less, you know, have less odor. And I also, being a hunter, had been involved with a company from Muskegon that manufactures clothing to make a hunter more invisible. Well, everybody knows what camouflage is, and so, you know, this company tries to design new kinds of camouflage, and whether you're in the desert hunting, or whether you're in the mountains, or whether you're among the spruce trees, or you know, what kind of camouflage you're going to wear, but also to mask a hunter's smell or the odor. And there was an engineer that graduated from Michigan Tech who started this company, and he had a bunch of brothers, and they all got together and formed this company in Muskegon, and the company's been internationally successful. And if you guys all think about it, I don't know if there are hunters in the room, but if you think about even your dog or your cat, their most sensitive part of their body is their nose. You know, they can see things, they can hear things, but their nose takes them everywhere, and teaches them how to stay out of danger, and teaches them where the food is, and where, you know, who the person is that they're looking at, and all that stuff is their nose. Well, I was going to go bear hunting right after I had my surgery. I'd never been bear hunting, and all of a sudden when I had my surgery and life painted me a picture of life is not forever, I thought, well, shoot, maybe I should go bear hunting. I'd hunted stuff that's not predatory, that wouldn't bother me, but I'd never hunted bears. And so I have 2 sons. They might as well go bear hunting with me too. So we were going to go to Idaho, and it was going to be a horseback hunt up the mountains and down the mountains and up the mountains again, and settle somewhere and then go look for bears. Well, what I knew about bears is that they can't see very well. They have little beady eyes, and they really can't see very well. And they have little ears they really can't hear, but they've got this humongous snout, and they can really smell things. And so I thought, well, if I've just had surgery, I don't know if I smell, but every now and then you get a whiff, and you know, is that me? Or you pull the covers up, and it wafts down, and you go, was that me? Or is that my feet, or is that my ostomy? You know. And so I thought, well, it must be something I can do besides just wearing hunting clothes that are impregnated with this stuff that will make me maybe smell less. I don't know. So I investigated it, talked to my friends that are responsible for this company, that own this company, and they said, heck yeah, we can do that. We've tried hockey bags for kids' hockey clothes. We've tried gym bags. We've designed curtains for nursing homes. We've done all these things. In fact, there was a very interesting, so I can't tell you who this company is because they want to remain unnamed. We are a branch, and they're helping us a lot. But if you think about, does anybody have a fish tank? I don't know, we used to have fish tanks when we were younger, and somehow it doesn't seem as important anymore, but we used to have a fish tank, and on the back of the tank you'd hang a filter. The water would bubble up out of the fish tank and through that filter, and the filter had some floss in it to filter out the substance, but then it also had these charcoal pellets in the bottom, and the charcoal pellets are made out of carbon, and charcoal absorbs ammonia. And urine from fish is ammonia, and if you didn't suck out all that ammonia out of the water, pretty soon the fish would be dead. So that's what the carbon does. That's what that carbon particle does. Well, guess what? The most important odor of urine is ammonia or urea. Urea is split into ammonia. So one of the important things that makes urine smell is urea or ammonia. The thing that makes feces smell is hydrogen sulfide or some of the other byproducts of breakdown of metabolism. The thing that smells in sweat are things called short-chain fatty acids that bacteria make out of your sweat and break down urea to make you smell in your armpits or most parts of your body. So carbon can adsorb, A-D-S-O-R-B, adsorb all that stuff. That's like adhesion. The prefix AD means to stick to it. So those kinds of things can stick to carbon particles and take away some of the odor. All of it, I don't know if you had a piece of carbon as big as this room, it could take away all of our odor and you wouldn't be able to smell the person next to you, you know. But the idea is to use some carbon, and that carbon can be changed in a way that will stick to clothes. And so this company that makes this hunting stuff figured out how to make clothes where there was carbon stuck to it. Okay? So they would figure out that if you wore those carbon clothes over your body and even put it over your face so they wouldn't smell the onions you ate for breakfast, then you would be able to be less detectable by the animals you were hunting. So StomaCloak is a sock of sorts or a device that's open at both ends. On the top end that goes over your ostomy, it's got a little bit of elastic to close down over over the sort of the base plate. And I was a two-piece person. I still am a two-piece person. So I don't know if you all know about two-piece versus one-piece. How many people here have one-piece? How many people have two-piece? Okay, so I think the two-piece things are pretty well marketed, and I think that the one-piece things have certain applications and the two-piece have other applications. But the advantage to me of having a two-piece for my device is that there's that Tupperware sort of lock, and it helps me with my device so that when I slide it on, I can have the elastic part sort of slide over that Tupperware part to hold it on. Now that being said, we have a lot of people calling us about one-piece devices, and so we have this ongoing research and development project to try to make things work for everybody, and we've made it so that we have a device that will go on a one piece and sort of hold on to itself, and it's become pretty popular. So it's also a wonderful device. These devices are made out of a thin, flimsy material. It feels like underwear, but like a lot of products out there now, they breathe. They wick away moisture, and so when you put it on, the moisture sort of goes through them and evaporates. And of course, if the moisture is urine, then the odor is left behind, so you're not smelling the urine evaporate. And if it's perspiration, the same thing. The nice thing is that because it breathes and evaporates moisture, when you put it on after you shower, like I'm sure everybody's had that experience when you shower, bathe, and you put your clothes back on, you keep feeling it and say, did I leak, or is this from my shower, or what is that? Well, when you put this bag on, you don't feel that moisture at all because it leaves the area. In addition, if you have a nice hot sunny day like this, if you go golfing or if you go walking or if you do anything that's in a warm environment, you always collect a little bit of moisture underneath there and it feels kind of sweaty, and you go in to empty it and you say, dang, it's moist under there, you know. Well, this bag keeps it from feeling moist. Now, the interesting thing is that moisture typically is perspiration, and what happens with perspiration when it's underneath something that traps it is your skin can break down. You know, we see that in men's groins, we see it underneath the breasts of women, we see it in axillary areas. And so if there's a moist area where it's being trapped by something plastic, well, you can expect that your skin might get red, and so we're told by our groups and by our ostomy therapy nurses and stuff to keep an eye on your skin, make sure it doesn't break down, use this powder if it breaks down, watch out for that yeast infection because it's going to itch like crazy in the middle of the night and all that. So this device keeps your skin dry, which is very nice. So the other thing I want to tell you is that we tried to answer each of the problems, and I remember when I was growing up as a child, my grandmother up in Boyne Falls had a colostomy. She had a colectomy for colon cancer, and as we were driving from Muskegon to Boyne Falls, a 3.5-hour drive, my parents, you know, they're very quiet and just kind of driving, and you know, I was 12 or 13 years old, and they were quiet, and finally We were about 10 miles from there. And they said, well, you know, Grandma had surgery. And I said, yeah, I knew she was, something was up. And they said, well, she's done well with her surgery, but when you go up to see Grandma, be careful. And I said, what do you mean careful? And they said, don't hug her. I said, don't hug Grandma? Are you kidding me? And they said, well, there's, you know, something might happen. And I said, well, like what? And then they had to tell me that Grandma had a bag and that it might make noise and may shift and something might spill out or whatever. And it's just scared me. I was like, oh my goodness, what about that? Well, so I had a fear of ostomies when I was young. And you know something? I don't have a fear anymore of it. But I think there's a lot of negativism, a negative connotation. When you go in for surgery, aren't you scared to death? So yeah, they're going to do that, but what's going to happen after that? How do I, you know, what do I do? Well, I think that one of the reasons is the noise that an ostomy makes. Well, so you know, it has a scrunchy plastic sound, or it may emit some, you know, some gurgling sounds like your stomach at night. And so this ostomy is the StomaCloak is a cloak for that. It takes away some of the sound of an ostomy. So it takes away the odor by the carbon. It takes away the smell or the odor, the sound of the ostomy, the feeling, which is another sense, the way it feels. Yeah, one more thing about the sensation is that have you experienced in the wintertime rolling over and having that bag sort of lay against your leg and say, ooh, that's cold, you know? Or I don't know if it happens with colon bags as much, but urine bags do that. They feel cold, and then in the summertime they feel hot. But it takes away that temperature change and makes you feel more comfortable. But also the site. The reason it's called StomaCloak, because the cloak covers things. It hides it or covers it up. And you know, you can have that nice pink thing sticking out all the time if you want. Most people would prefer not to. So most people would say, well, I'd like to cover it up. And so our device is made opaque, not translucent. So it's interesting to me that most of the companies that make appliances that fit onto your stoma they're clear, and I think that might be so that you can see the urine in it or see what falls in it. But so the other thing that sticks out is your stoma. Well, I'm a urologist. I go to the doctor's lounge all the time. I change my clothes, and while I'm changing, you know, putting my shoes on and putting on my greens to ready to go in surgery and stuff, I don't want the thing hanging out, because even though I like it, and I've heard some stoma therapists say name him Fred or something, so that when you say, hey Fred, how you doing down there? I'm not embarrassed by it, but I don't think it's everybody else's business. I mean, it's the same thing as me not getting fully naked when I walk in there and then putting all my clothes on. I mean, there's stuff to your body that's private, right? Well, by wearing a StomaCloak, I can get undressed and it just looks like clothing. Nobody, you know, and you take your clothes off, put your clothes back on, and it's not a big deal. Well, guess what? The way you recharge that thing, you don't have to throw it away. You just stick it in the dryer, and drying the thing after you wash it, the dryer sort of mobilizes that stuff off, and it goes out your dryer pipe, I guess, and then it's ready to be used again. So what we do with our StomaCloaks is we're trying to sell them like in groups of 3, because we washed them multiple times to see what, you know, if they ever wore out, and they never really did. But we put them through 30 washings each to test them, so that we know that each device will continue to do what it's supposed to do for 30 washings. And if you change your appliance every 3 or 4 days, and you put a new product on every 3 or 4 days, then three StomaCloaks will get you through a year pretty easily. I also know that the stuff that I use for hunting that I've bought from that company, they tell us right in the product that, you know, after you wash it so many times, it probably won't absorb your odor anymore, so you probably need to buy new ones. Well, the good news is that these devices, ours are pretty inexpensive, but typically 3 of them will last you a year. If you typically typically a 2-piece wafer and bag costs around $11. Now your insurance may cover it, but if it doesn't, it's $11 out of your pocket, and if it does, it's $11 out of Medicare and out of Social Security and all, you know, government funds. Most people change their appliance every 4 days, so if you divide 365 days in a year by 4, there's about 91 changes of your ostomy appliance per year. If the StomaCloak allows 5 days before change instead of every 4 days, then there's 365 divided by 5 is 73 changes per year. So if you subtract 73 from 91, that's 18 less changes per year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but 18 times 11 is $198 savings per year if you're paying out of your pocket, or if Medicare is paying it. And there are 100,000 new ostomates per year in the United States. So if you take 100,000, multiply it by 198, that's 19,800,000 in savings per year for Medicare. This is imaginary math because we don't know for sure that those numbers are correct, but there's got to be some improvement if we can have people be able to maintain their ostomy appliances a little bit longer. We're just very local. We're just kind of starting this thing up, but the easiest way to get I don't know, easy for other people, but I don't know how many people have a computer and access to the internet, but the easiest way is to get on the internet and look at our website. We have a card with all that information. We have a card where you can mail in and say, or call in and say, can you send me one question? You guys have been great. I really appreciate coming out on a Sunday, beautiful sunshiny day. You've been a blessing to me. I really believe that. You're a blessing to us. We get to drive home and talk about how fun this was. I mean, we're the people that whose lives change. We're really appreciative of that, and I think that we go home from here being elevated, and I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me your ears and your attention. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we just finished talking about StomaCloak at your ostomy group here, and I think that you being in charge must have assembled this great group. I think we had 50 people here, which is tremendous.
Head count, and I know there's at least 50.
That's tremendous. So this is Carol Wheatley, and Carol is the president of this organization, and she just purchased a StomaCloak after our production. I was kind of wondering how you think it might help you after our production.
I think it will help, and I wasn't really knowing what to expect, what you were going to be talking. I mean, I knew it was this, but I didn't know, what to expect. But I think it's been very informational, and as I mentioned, I'm going to test it around a dog.
There you go.
Keep the dog away from my stomach.
Yeah, the dogs have strong noses, and they usually go for parts of our body, and I wonder if that'll work. You'll have to let us know.
And then I know after a shower, I'm always like, I'll wrap a towel
wetness.
around it
Yep.
and do this,
Yep.
so that will help there.
Sure.
So I think it's very useful.
Good, terrific. I hope you find great success with it. Thank you.
And
Alrighty.
you too.
Here, and I have Judy Schneider with me that just might have something to say about how she thinks this might be useful to her. She actually is a coordinator and a distributor for some.
No, I just, as part of this group, coordinate visitors that will call patients that are new.
Oh, sure.
Ostomers.
Oh, yeah, to help bring them in and encourage them to come and see you.
Right.
So how do you think the StomaCloak might help you?
Well, I know for one thing, after showers or swimming, because I do a lot of swimming, right now as it is, to keep that moist area, it's still, the appliance is still moist after swimming or a shower. I use paper towel.
Oh, yeah, to blot it, try to put it in the
and
space
I leave it there when I get dressed.
No, you'll be
until it
amazed.
dries.
You'll be amazed with this. I'm always in a hurry in the morning, so I shower and I put it on and I run.
Yeah.
But before I did that, I was always feeling like it, saying,
Right.
yeah, it's going to be
Here I am
awesome.
with
You're
my
gonna,
paper towel.
it's
This'll
going to
be
work out.
much
It's going to
better.
work out great for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
Okay, so Howard, we just finished talking about StomaCloak, and you are obviously a very knowledgeable person, and you're experienced in this problem. And I'm not sure whether StomaCloak would benefit you or not, but it's helpful for us to know why or why not. So what do you think about StomaCloak?
Well, I do think it makes sense. It makes you feel more comfortable. Plus, sometimes you don't know you have a problem because people won't tell you.
Yeah.
They may avoid you.
Right, right.
And if it's a pet, the pet could end up jumping on you.
You're exactly right. Yep. Well, we all deal with those issues. People have all sorts of troubles, and we certainly don't want stoma people to be shut-ins or stay-at-homes. We just soon, try to help them understand that the glass is really 3/4 full, not half empty. And so people that would come out of the woodwork to that's kind of a blessing to understand what God has in mind for us and the gifts that we have out of our own homes.
Now, one of the biggest problems I've noticed, and we have basically 3 support groups. This is the biggest one.
Okay.
And the smaller ones often come here and then they have their own. A person often, when they have the operation, you'll have a stoma nurse. A lot of the stoma nurses weren't formally trained.
Right, they're just visiting nurses. Yeah.
There's a difference between a wound care nurse and an ostomy wound care nurse.
Yes, you're right.
And often the hospital doesn't coordinate that. I mean, when I had my first operation, this nurse wanted to give me a bunch of information, but she was so busy, she wanted to do everything for me.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I was going to be there another week and a half, I insisted on doing a
wasn't
lot.
teaching you, yeah.
I insisted doing a lot on my own.
But that's where I think you have the support groups like the WOC on nurses, and what our group is trying to do is ring their, blow their whistle, not ring their bell or blow their whistle, but bring them to people's attention so that people know they're available. And I think they need to be raised up a bit. They have a tough job.
She woke me up at night. Ma, your bag, it smells.
Oh.
So I thought maybe this might.
It might do the trick, yeah.
Might
I sure hope so. My guess is that, in my understanding about this, is that it will at least be improved, at the very least. But it might be just the cat's pajamas for you. Might be
Right.
perfect.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
But I'm also using M9 now.
Oh.
And that cuts the
It
odor
does,
too.
yes, that works as well.
Right.
So the combination, we find to learn ways to live with what we got, don't we?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, good for you.
indeed.
Very nice to meet you, Jeff Renault, and thank you.
Likewise.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you, too.
God bless you. Thank you.